Everything's gone a little bit wild. I will be shocked if that one makes it. I've just butchered that one. Hi, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing another gardening video because, as you'll see from the last video, which if you haven't, go back and watch it, I'll link it somewhere around here. We started all our plants from seed this year, and it's the first time we've actually started them from seed. But now it's time to get them out in the greenhouse because the weather's, although it's still cold starts, the weather is getting a lot nicer. And as you'll see, everything's gone a little bit wild. So they need some more room to grow. And then, yeah, so if we get them out in the greenhouse, then we can get them in pots, bring them along another few weeks until we have the last frost, which I'm not actually sure what it is supposed to be right now, but I'll research it and put it in the video here somewhere. So I'm going to go get the greenhouse out the shed because I tried to be smart about it and put it away home last year thinking it would be easier, and it's going to be a real pain because it's been a real pain just in the shed the entire time. But I'm going to get that out, get that set up, and then I'll bring you back when we start potting up. Right, so as you can see, I put it away whole, so it's going to be easier to actually put up, but it has taken up the entire shed all winter long, along with a few other little bits. So yeah, now let's get it out and get it down to where it's going to live for the summer, spring, summer time. I don't remember it being so awkward to get in and out. I thought I just lifted in and out, but obviously it's nowhere near the same size as the shed opening. Oh, right, that's that in place. I've just made sure everything's pushed together. I think I'm going to put the other shelves on for now, because later on we'll have a tomato grow bag across the bottom. But I'm going to put some weights on the bottom here so the wind doesn't get it, and then it needs tying to the fence so it can't blow away too, because this thing doesn't weigh anything, so if there's any wind at all it will just go. So let me get them weights on. So these are just like off-cut bits of flags that we had. Right, that should keep it down. I just need to tie it to the fence. Okay, so the string from last year was still here, so I've got it tied at this side onto the fence, but this may be the last year for this greenhouse because this one is still here, but it actually ripped off last year, which I didn't realise. So I might have to put some tape on that or something, because that's going to let a lot of heat out, which isn't what you want for a greenhouse. But anyway, I'm going to go get all the pots ready, all the plants out, and then we'll start potting up. Alright, I've got some soil. I don't think there'll be enough there. I've got a random assortment of pots which we've just sort of accumulated from last year when we bought stuff. I've got some cell trays because some stuff is obviously just going to be put on here for a couple of weeks. So I'm just going to put some bedding plants in these because they're big enough for bedding plants to grow until they need to be potted out, which should only be in a couple of weeks. But the peas I think I'm going to put straight out because they're quite cold hardy, and I'm hoping they'll survive because these things are just going absolutely mental. So I'll get some supports and put them out, but I'll probably end up doing them last because they're just tangled like crazy and they're going to be frustrating. So I'm going to fill these pots first, see how much soil we have, because I'm going to be nipping out soon anyway, so I can pick up some more and then we'll be back. But yeah, so I'll probably time lapse this while I fill these. Right, just like that. We actually did have enough, so I don't actually know how many pots I've got on, how many I need, but I'm guessing I don't quite have enough of these. But these are all the pots I have, so when I go out I'll nip and get some more. But yeah, let's start planting them up. I'm first going to start with some of the bedding plants. So I'm going to start with the geraniums and put them into these cell trays, the ones that have worked. Most of them have worked, just some of them haven't, but now it's just a case of teasing them out without just completely destroying them. Pulling some of that soil out. Into there. And just tucking it in. Just like that. And that gives them a lot more room to grow. So I'll do the same again. I'm going to start with the biggest, healthiest ones and then work our way down. But like I say, it's really difficult to get these out, and I think it's easier if it's wet. Because otherwise that happens. But no worries. So we can still put it in and pack some compost around it. You just have to be very careful and make sure that the stem is supported. It's really difficult to like tease these up out of them cell trays when they get really stuck in there. I'm sure it'll be fine. There we go, that one went there. Right, that's all the geraniums done. I'm just wondering, I'm going to go quickly see if we've got any more cell trays for the other bedding plants. Alright, the answer was yes, we did have more cell trays. So, now, I'm going to transfer all of these into here. So we have foxglove, which I think I'm going to have to prune because we planted loads because I didn't know how they would come out, but it's always better to have more and then prune them back than to do too little and it not work. So yeah, first I'll do the dahlia and then I'll do the foxglove. The dahlia should be a bit easier because they're a lot bigger. There you go, that's the sort of perfect thing that you want. And just scoop up. And in. So when I'm doing this, I'm just sort of squeezing and pushing up from the bottom. I'm trying to tease it out without just absolutely ripping it out by the roots. There's actually two there. They're very intertwined. I'm just going to leave it and hope that they come through because I think two should be fine. So like I say, this isn't the final place for them. This is just to bring them along. See, that one didn't come up so well. That was just a little root ball, but there we go. That one's like the perfect one that just came up. Very nice. Right, so that's all the dahlias. So now next up we've got, I don't know if you can even see that. That's the foxglove, which these I think are going to be very delicate. I'm going to get these in here and then prune them back a little bit because there is a lot of them. Let's see, I'm not sure all of them will survive, but that's the foxglove done. That's that first tray done at least. Alright, I've got another one of these and I've got some old houseplant mix, so I'm going to go fill one of these up again. Alright, there we go. Right, next up, calendula, I don't know how you say it. I thought it was calendula, but then when I saw my grandma, she called it a calendula, so I don't actually know. But anyway, they're going to go in. These are going absolutely crazy. These should come out a bit easier, I think. Yeah, there you go. See, they have a lot more established roots, so they come out a lot easier, which I thought they would. You just have to break them free from the tray a bit more. But I have high hopes for these. They're supposed to be good for stopping slugs eating other things. Sort of like a sacrificial plant, I suppose you call it. So you plant it alongside your tomatoes and your, or whatever veg. We've got peppers and peas. and then the slugs are drawn to these and eat these rather than your veg, which are like obviously the more important plants because they're actually producing something other than just looking nice. I don't know if these need supporting or if they'll just grow big enough and support themselves. It's the first time I've ever grown these. I think this one's had the least light because it's nowhere near the same size as all the others. So these have just been in the windowsill, as you'll have seen in the last video, or the last gardening video. Okay, as you see, this one I think is just wilted away. I'm not going to bother with that one. It might just be dry, but the soil doesn't feel particularly dry, so it might have just not made it. But now the sunflowers, these are going crazy already, so I have high hopes for these. Last year we did giant sunflowers and they were quite ugly, to be honest. So this time we've just gone for normal, regular. I actually think they're dwarf sunflowers, so I don't think they'll get quite as tall, but hopefully they'll flower nicely and look very nice because they are Caitlin's favourite. These have got like crazy roots on. Sunflowers always root like crazy. They're a very water hungry plant, from what I've experienced at the very least. Yeah, just taking off the dead leaves. I put the label in here, but it's obvious what them ones are, so that's done. I'm going to put the rest in the other tray now. Just back in with the dahlias and the foxglove. So as I put these in, I'm just going to loosen up some of the roots. I don't know if it makes a difference with these, but I think they'll just start rooting and finding their own way with the more space that they have. And then also they'll have a lot more space when they get planted out into pots or baskets or whatever. I'm going to actually look up how big these are supposed to get, so we don't put them in like a hanging basket and then they grow like ridiculously tall from there on. Right, so that's all the bedding plants done. So that's all the bedding plants. We've got the calendulas, sunflowers, foxglove, dahlia and more sunflowers, and then obviously the geraniums. They're my favourite. So yeah, now onto the veg. Right, so we're going to start with the tomatoes. So we've got cherry tomatoes, also just the little ones, and then Costoluto tomatoes. So they're like a much bigger, beefier one. So the cherry tomatoes are actually going absolutely crazy at the minute. So I'm going to leave the strongest ones in this pot still because I'm going to get a grow bag and put them in there. So I am going to get some supports for these so we can stick it in and keep them supported because they are very fragile at the minute. I'll do that after they're potted up. I'm going to leave the cherry tomatoes for the grow bag, and then these Costoluto I'm going to pot up. Okay, these are a type of tomato I've never grown, but we'll see. Hopefully we get a decent enough summer to get them to grow and see how they are. These do seem a little bit more flimsy than the other ones though. So just really making sure to pack around that stem. Right, that's all them done. Put that label in with them. So they're all the Costoluto, they're all the cherry. And so there's still a few there that are going to be put into something else later when I get the grow bag. So now we've got the sweet peppers, which I'm going to put into bigger pots because they can just stay in pots about that size. They don't need to have like a massive pot for them. Okay, so not all of these peppers have worked, only a few of them have worked, so I'm hoping they transplant okay. I'm going to make sure this is like really compacted so it can support itself a bit better. So that can push down. one. There's two. That one I think I pulled the roots. But we'll see, it might still come out. I will be shocked if that one makes it. I've just butchered that one. Well, that's 4. Right, the peas, I'm gonna have to do some quick setting up for that. Alright, so obviously peas are a climbing plant, so I've got some bamboo canes and I'm basically just gonna tie these in like a bit of a tripod so I can plant one at either end and then they can just grow up it. So I've got some yarn, got some scissors, got some bamboo poles. Let's get to it. Right, so that's 1. So I'm just going to repeat that. How many have we got? 10. I'm just going to repeat it 2 more times. So I'll have 3 in total. And that's 3. So obviously, as you can see, the idea is you plant them around and then it's got something to grow up to a midpoint. Also having 3 just gives them something to hold on to, gives it the actual support more strength. So let's get the peas and let's get them planted. Also, these are also strawberry plants which are doing like really well actually. They're bouncing back a lot. Oh, these are just an absolute tangled mess. This could be fun, is one way I'd word it. That one wasn't bad. So I didn't know this about peas, but it's really cool. They grow these like little vines and they like just, I guess that's what they climb with, but they stick to absolutely everything, including each other. Right, so they're all planted out, as you can see. So now I'm just going to support them and tie them onto there. And there we go, that's them all tied to the poles. So now that gives them a bit of a head start. And hopefully they will start finding their own way. This one might still need a bit of encouraging onto the pole, which maybe if I go that way around, that might help it. I've just moved all the plants down here, so in about an hour, so from about noon till 8 PM, it gets the most sun down this area, so it's in the shade right now. But we've got the Costoluto tomatoes there, which the label's there. We have the peppers, and then we have the bedding plants, the geraniums, the sunflowers, the calendulas, dahlias and the foxglove, and then we have the cherry tomatoes over here. So I'm going to give them a good water, a bit of a tidy up, and then I'm going to get I need to go out and actually buy it, but I need to get the tomato grow bag to go along the bottom of here. And then we can put the last few cherry tomatoes straight into that. So I'll have a bit of a straighten up now and then head to the shops. Very nearly forgot the most important part after you plant stuff out. That's to water it. So just give it a nice gentle watering. So obviously when I go shopping, get the grow bag, I'm going to get some more supports and I'll show you once I've supported them. And then yeah, I think that will do. I've been out. I'm going to use these as a support, some little bamboo skewers. My god, let me try that again. I'm going to use these for support, some little bamboo skewers, because it doesn't need to be massive, because eventually they get wide enough to support themselves. And especially with the cherry tomatoes, I don't know how big the Costoluto ones get, but the cherry tomatoes, they don't get that long, so this should be the right height without it being like crazy long with some of the bamboo sticks we have. The ones that are in the greenhouse, in the grow bags, I'm going to put a longer stick in, just because it's easier that way. Yeah, so I got the grow bag too. Just one of these. So let's get it in and get it planted. I got this tray this time and just raise it up off the ground just a little bit just to try and deter slugs, because last time it got absolutely savaged in there. So I'm going to get it in now and hopefully it fits. And then we'll get the tomatoes in. Right, there is something I want to try with this. So basically what I've seen is people plant the tomatoes in a pot but then cut the bottom off, and then when you water it, it helps it to retain water, and like especially when you're feeding it, otherwise it all just goes everywhere. So first things first is to cut a hole out on the bag like so. Then I actually don't know what the best way of doing this is. I think if I do it with an empty one. There you go. I mean, it's sharp on the bottom, but that doesn't matter too much. There you go, like so. Fill that with soil. And then we get the tomato plant. Ooh, it's getting very warm now, especially half in the greenhouse. It's even hotter. Right, now very carefully make room. Just like so. And then that way, like I say, when you water it, you can water so it fills in there rather than going all over the grow bag. Essentially just do the same again. Right, last one. Perfect. Right, so now I'm just going to get some supports. Stick some supports in all the tomato plants. Some of the ones I showed you that I got, and then also for these I'm going to get 3 bamboo cans so I can just tie them to the top. And then yeah, jobs are good in. Right, that's the long supports in, so as you can see I've not tied them tight at all. It's literally just to support them, because as these grow they get a lot thicker, like they become like so thick. So if you do it too tight, you either have to cut them off and retie them, but if you forget to, it will just cut into the stalk of the tomato plant, which eventually might end up just breaking if it gets too big. So I've just tied them at the top, so obviously they're long sticks, they just fit in here. So now I need to do all these little ones with the little sticks, and then jobs are good. Alright, that's all of them done. So same thing, basically just a stick, not tied too tight so it doesn't strangle it, and this is basically just to give it enough support to let them grow, so eventually they'll have enough to hold their own weight up. But I'll probably still give it a bit of support if we do plant it out in the garden rather than in the greenhouse. So the grow bag is going to stay in the greenhouse. These, we've got too many, so if they all work and they all keep growing, we'll be giving some away, planting some out in the garden, see how we go. But if we grow all these, we're going to have tomatoes coming out of our ears, so I'll give some to maybe my dad if he wants some, Caitlin's mum and dad if they want some, and my grandma and granddad too, because they love gardening. So yeah, get these back in the greenhouse now, give the tomatoes in the grow bag a good water. So now you'll see why I've done it like this. So if you water on the top trying to get it in that hole, it's really hard for the water to stay in because it just flows over. So if, like I say, if you water just onto there, you can be sure that the plants are actually getting the water they need, because tomato plants are very water hungry. That pretty much wraps up the planting out video. So I'll do a little update video at some point when they've become more established, but I really hope you've enjoyed this video. This is a different kind. Let me know if you enjoy it, and yeah, we can do more like this, less like this. We'll see, but hopefully all the footage came out, because I didn't realise, and I really underestimated how hard it would be to get the right angle when you're planting stuff and moving around and bent over at awkward angles. So yeah, hopefully it's come out well. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe and share it with everyone you know, because it helps us out a whole lot, more than you know. And we'll see you next time. Bye.